So before you actually accuse me of fudding, things I'm going to share in this video are not really my opinions, they are mostly facts and analysis from statistics available to me. So it's no secret that price of pretty much all node projects released last year or early this year are going down the drain. Strong is down and on a long downtrend, same as THOR, and even my favorite project Power is down as well. The problem is that the price is not going down because developers did something shady. The actual reason is that this is pretty much inherent of any Ponzinomics, crypto or not. Let me explain. So in any crypto project or real life business, we will generally have these three phases. First one being the slow growth phase, where the project is growing really slowly, and that's because not many people know about the project or business yet. But then at one point, news and hype catch on, and in Strong's case, people are starting to flex their rewards, and new investors are seeing that you can actually make so much money with this project, and that is what is causing these huge explosions in price happen for these projects. Basically, the organic marketing has kicked into gear, and the project is growing really fast. And the price of a project is rising really fast, and the amount of new people joining in is increasing exponentially. What happens next is that soon we enter the third phase, where the growth reaches what is called carrying capacity, and at this point any crypto project or real world business will have a real hard time breaking through this barrier, and that's because there's just finite amount of people living on this planet. And in node project's case, there's only so many people who know how to operate MetaMask and who are willing to invest in shady looking projects. And here's where we reach a huge differentiation from businesses that actually are self-sustainable and that don't really need new people joining in to continue generating revenue, and these node projects that rely heavily on Ponzinomics, which means that we need new people every day buying in to be able to afford to pay out rewards to existing node holders. For example, Coca-Cola could be at this carrying capacity level for decades. They don't need to sell more cans of cola every year just to stay in business. They could be selling the same amount every year and making the same amount of money and still stay in business and be able to pay their employees and shareholders. But what happens when no new people join node projects? Well, that's interesting because we're seeing it play out in real time. Most of node projects that were released last year are at this carrying capacity point, where no new people are willing to take on the risk to join these projects. And as I mentioned before, this is critical because we need these new people joining in to be able to pay out rewards, because none of these node projects are actually sustainable and they don't have real revenue coming in. And yes, I know that THOR has made several investments with the treasury funds, but they are nowhere near generating enough revenue to be able to pay even half of people with nodes. Let me show you how these phases look on a real chart. For example, we can see that slow growth phase for Strong lasted until late August, after which the price started to explode. And as I mentioned before, that's because the hype was really kicking into gear. People were flashing their strong rewards and showing others how much they're making from holding nodes. And of course, this made new people join in, and the price just kept going up until 28th of October, where the price reached over $1,200 at one point. After this point, the price of the project has been going down pretty steadily. And that's because at this point we reached this critical level I showed you before, this carrying capacity level, and up until this point so many people created nodes, and there had to be so many new tokens minted every day to pay these node holders that there was no way that the token wouldn't turn into a hyperinflationary token. And that's exactly what happened. As more nodes are created, the inflation increases and the price drops faster and faster. Now, I'm not saying that these projects can't recover. Yes, that is entirely possible if you generate hype on social media, but as project gets older and older and more nodes are being created and the inflation increases, it's getting harder and harder for these rallies to happen because the selling pressure increases so much every single day. And yes, people in the comments will be saying, but the strong chain will solve these issues. No, they won't. They really won't solve the biggest issue, that is being reliant on Ponzinomics. If they don't figure out a way to generate $11 million per day, as I explained in one of my previous videos, the price won't really recover. And at one point, I believe we will see even sharper drop in price, as people realize that the price is not recovering and everyone will stop compounding and everyone will start selling their tokens. That's where the real drop will come. And the only way to avoid this drop is if the strong block team can figure out a way to make $11 million per day to pay node holders and not rely on Ponzinomics. Well, that's one way. But creating a business that earns $11 million per day in profit is not easy. And option number 2 is create a huge hype on social media, as they have successfully done before. This is a short-term solution and won't really fix the bigger issues that this project is facing. And if we look at THOR graph, the story is similar, with one major difference is that they didn't really have this slow growth phase, because the hype from strong block project carried over and people were quick to buy in at these low prices, because everyone was believing that this will be the next strong block. And ever since the project hit its carrying capacity, the price has been on a downtrend as well. For one exception here, where the project did manage to generate a lot of hype, but once the hype dies down, you see yourself what happens to the price. And even though I have been doing marketing for 6 years, I don't see a solution on how to generate infinite hype. At one point, people just stop caring and the price starts to go down. Let's take a look at Vapor Nodes, which is a newer project. We had the slow growth phase at the end of December last year, which was followed by a huge explosion, people migrating from other node projects. And after that, we've been on a downtrend. And as I mentioned before, if the teams behind these projects don't figure a way to generate infinite hype or make these projects sustainable, the prices will continue to drop. And basically, these projects are facing the same issues that DAOs were facing, just in another form. And guys, please don't developers fool you by saying that they will make their projects sustainable somehow. I think it's mostly just to keep people invested in these projects and keep people believing and, try to keep the hype alive. There is one project coming very soon that won't be paying out their rewards in their native token, and that's just one of the things they are doing that will make them one of the most sustainable node projects out there. And this project will likely have only finite amount of nodes that will be able to be created, so there's no illusion for infinite growth. Guys, thank you so much for watching the video. See you in the next one. Bye.